Good morning, everyone, and thanks for tuning in to the Medium by Design. Okay, so I spoke to Larry yesterday, and when Larry says it's time to do a walking video, I guess it's time to do a walking video. So this video, the inspiration for this as I was walking, is some of the events that happened through September 2021, this month, and an experience that I had that I didn't have a chance to tell many people. So the Wednesday before 9/11, I didn't feel well. My energy was down, and I felt it was going down, my physical energy. And I was feeling multiple emotional waves. Now, I have nothing to really complain about. I'm not doing a lot, but besides videos and helping Heather, which you'll see that project helped her with her house this year. But other than that, there's not a hell of a lot going on. So back to Wednesday before 9/11, I forgot what date that was. So I didn't feel good, and I had a flash of my Uncle Tony. And I knew he either passed or he was dying. Something was going on with my Uncle Tony. So I didn't do anything about it. I didn't tell anybody in the family. But from that Wednesday through Sunday, I was home. I couldn't be around other people. I didn't feel well. My energy was low. I had to rest a lot. So one of my favorite very in tune friends, probably the most in tune person that I know, said I was picking up on the mass consciousness energy leading up to 9/11, which is the remembrance and the emotions that people have from that, as well as the information that never came out or that people won't receive, because there's some truths about 9/11 that people don't want to receive. They don't want to believe it, so they just stay in ignorance. And this is a problem. When energy is speaking, which it does, and stories are told, which people do, they tell stories that have half-truths, the energy, the remnant energy that's in many of us about an event is low frequency. And low frequency is negative. So even sadness, grieving, those are really lower frequencies, energies that we really don't want to stay in. And, you missed that little cat chasing a bird. So we don't want to stay in those energies because eventually the lower frequency emotions will bring down the body, which is what we're seeing a lot of now. So, anyway, there was a lot of layers building up to 9/11, a lot of emotional layers in the mass consciousness. And as an empath and a sensitive, I can feel those things. Now, I'm not sharp all the time to be able to define what is going on. I have to sit, I have to ask, I have to give it time. Morning. So I have to like request. And ask and you shall receive is right out of the Bible. And that's the same thing with information, which if you go to my YouTube channel and you look through the videos, you can see all the advice and the wisdom that came through since this COVID thing started. All these videos talking about higher wisdom, where the earth is going, what's happening, what the transition is all about. And I see some people are starting to get it, and some people have moved past the lower emotions and the bickering and the fighting. But there's still a lot of you out there who think you're right, and you're holding on to that right. And I don't know. I don't want to get too I don't want to get too sarcastic, but needing to be right is not important. It has no value at all. That's an ego-based frequency. What you want is to get the truth for yourself. So back to this leading up to 9/11. So I had 5 days, 5 down days, a lot of rest, not feeling right emotionally. And remember, there's nothing going on in my life. There's nothing to be upset about. So I share this because if you're not feeling right, if you feel off, but there's no reason, you want to look at that and realize you might be just picking up the energies that are in the air, literally. So after 9/11, a few days later, my cousin called me and told me my Uncle Tony died. So not only was I feeling the energy building up to 9/11, but my uncle did die. He died Thursday. So I was already feeling something on Wednesday. Now, I've already written from him. There's no video on that. I have to decide if I want to share family messages. I have to think about that. But he did tell me in his message, and I wrote from his wife, my godmother, Teresa. I wrote from her again, and they were both very funny, actually. And it's a very uplifting, very light message, not too deep. But Tony did tell me that he reached out to me before he passed. And so I did feel that, so he confirmed that. And if you go to the Chaco message, the woman that I had the experience of before she did leave the body, she had come to me while the body was still breathing, and got my attention so I could go see her and have a vision of what the passing looked like and what was going on the other side. So Tony tried to do that, but I can't take credit for getting everything and paying attention to everything. I try, but I'm still distracted a lot, so I didn't get it. And I probably could have watched him pass over Thursday morning and seen my aunt and all the other family members that were there. But more importantly, the whole thing of energy and what you're feeling and what you're picking up, it's not easy to decipher these things. What's mine? What's not? Who's feeling this? And is that part of me? Am I feeling that? And then if you get into past lives and past energies, you could have remnants of that experience. And this is what I talked about in another walking video, that a lot of the energy that you're seeing play out through human beings is energy of the past. And I forgot which number video that was, but if you can't understand when you see something horrendous in the world that it has nothing to do with now, that these souls are reliving old agendas, and that eventually that old energy has to die. It has to go. So that's what we're seeing now. We're seeing things change. And of course, I'll complain to the spirit world. I want to see more positive. It's taken a little while here. Can we move on from some of this stuff? And of course, on the other side, there's not all this negative emotion like we have. So sometimes they laugh at me, because they think I'm humorous, that I don't have enough patience. But, we're not living to 500 to 1,000 years like we did a few thousand years ago. So the time frame here, morning. The time frame here is shorter than it used to be. And now we could change that. We could go back to some of that ability, which is another whole topic, how during this period many people are pulling out their abilities, their innate soul abilities. So I have many messages on my YouTube channel about creativity, a lot from famous people too, about creativity. And even the Kuan Yin talks about creativity. That word has come up so many times in these videos. And of course, they don't get into all the reasons why we have not been, but there are a few simple ones that you could relate to. You've heard, well, maybe you haven't, but there's been a lot of people talking about programming, okay? Programming comes from many different sources. We have programs from our ancestry, we have programs from our family, we have programs from people we knew when we were children, we have programs running from bigger institutions in the world. Everything is a program. So it's really, when they talk about the world being a matrix, remember the movie, the series The Matrix? The fourth one's coming out, by the way. That should be interesting. See what messages are in that movie. So, if you understand that there are programs running and you start to analyze, is this my true self or is this a program? And there are little heads up moments about that. If you're doing something on automatic reaction, most likely it's a program. So in my family, the one automatic reaction that we had was anger. Man, the yelling. I mean, we would scream over everything. And, you can laugh and say, well, that's Italian families. They talk really loud and they're just obnoxious. They get really in your face. But that's a program. You say all Italians are loud. Well, not only is that a generality, but you're locking into the energy of, well, that's how Italians are. Well, how can you ever evolve from those lower emotions if you believe that's what you are? That's a program. So I'm hoping that as we exit this phase, this weird, I keep saying how weird things are. To me, everything's weird. And people are weird and everybody's behaving weirdly. But as we continue to transition into this new energy, I'm hoping that more people let go of the past, let go of the programs, and start coming from their real, true, highest selves. And the real, true, highest self is new foundation, new values. Like, I talked about this through the whole COVID thing, that everything has to be a win-win, right? How many people think about that when they're interacting with another human being? Do you really think all the time, in your foundational beliefs, do you really think everything has to be a win-win? So how can we make this a win-win? In everything. Most people are still grabbing energy from each other. We used to call that energy vampire. And they're all looking at each other for what they can get. And not all, I'm sorry. I don't want to overgeneralize, but I can still see people doing that. Where, especially with me, a lot of people just call me when they want something. There's very few people that call and say, how are you doing? I don't get calls like that. It's very rare. It's always, can you help me with this? Can you do this? My father went through this too, because he's really intelligent and he knows how to fix everything. And when he was younger, when we were little, the first house they had, and he used to help the family, and people would call and, can you come over? My father was an electrician, and he knew a lot about mechanical things. And, people just called when they wanted something. Well, even that's old, low-frequency behavior. What can I get from you? Instead of, I really could use you to do this because I know you're able. What can I give you to do that? Besides money. It's not all about money. And if you knew my life around money, it's amazing I'm breathing, truthfully. If I didn't have the help, I'd be on the street. And I said that for the last few years. And I really, another piece that came up today that was very interesting. Now, I'm into astrology. And astrology is another language just like everything else, just like wherever you get your information from. Everything's a language, everything's communication. So I was looking back, I discovered something during COVID that I really am sorry I didn't know earlier. And sometimes that happens with astrology. You can't know everything. It's too big of a database of information. And I even asked my astrology mentor, and she never looked at this either. So it's very interesting. So here's the thing. Here's an astrology piece of wisdom. If you follow any spiritual people online, many people talk about the transition of 2012. That was a big transition for the earth and humanity. We moved from one era to another, and it opened up many doors spiritually and to receive information. Well, that's true, right? But if you look at astrology, I think it was late 2011 into 2012 that Neptune went into Pisces. Now you can look this up, Neptune transiting Pisces, and you'll get a wealth of information about that planet and the energy. Well, first of all, Neptune is the planet that rules the sign of Pisces. All of you, whatever your sun sign is, you have a ruling planet. And there are other things in the chart that make certain planets stronger in your life, certain energies, let's just say energies, for those that that get offended that they're connected to the planets, because, we have to get offended about everything. And people that don't believe in astrology will start fighting over that because they don't believe in it. So because they don't believe in it, it doesn't exist. I mean, that's the biggest joke of my adult life. People declare they don't believe something, and that makes it fake, not real. Okay. Bye-bye. You can take that across the street. So, anyway, Neptune went into Pisces around 2012, and that's its natural sign, right? So when a planet goes into its natural sign, it gets to enhance its natural energy. And then we, as human beings, get to benefit from that energy. Well, I'll tell you what happened. This is how it comes into the physical, because these planets are not just energy floating around doing nothing. They're offering us the energy to use. And Ginny used to say, you either use the planetary energy or it uses you. And I'll never forget that. So if you ignore everything, then the outcomes are much more uncertain. And of course, as human beings, we don't like uncertainty. So it's better to use the energy for your highest good than just let it flounder and just you bump into it and have to deal with the repercussions. So Neptune in Pisces has brought the highest level of creativity through inspiration. Pisces is the inspirational sign. So things come out of thin air, right? You get these ideas and it's like, I didn't study that subject. How do I know that? Or a solution comes to you from from somewhere. And this is what Neptune in Pisces has done. Morning. So you can see that inspiration across the board. Our technology is flying forward. I'm sure there are things that came out in 2012 and 2013 that we didn't have before. And they were inspired for the inventor people. And they had these ideas. And here we are with all this technology. And this is only the beginning. Wait until you see, if we live long enough to see some of the other stuff that's going to come to us, the new technologies. So I'm going to bring this down 3 notches into the real world for me. In 2012, I nicknamed them the Denver guys, okay? So I met the Denver guys, and this is such a great story for all different energies. Let's see if I can bring all the facets and pieces. So I meet the Denver guys in December 2012, I believe. And I hit it off with the one that's from New York, okay? Because East Coasters, we have our way of speaking, and it is a program, but some of us still keep that program going. So anyway, we hit it off, and then I met the partner. And one of my friends at the time, who has a really big mouth, and just, some people just keep talking just because they have to keep talking and just have something to say about everything, just opinions, right? So this friend of mine, I don't know if I ever said this on a video, this friend of mine said, "You don't want to be friends with them. They're white trash." And I thought, well, why don't I make up my own decision if I want to be friends with them? And I hope they hear this. I hope, because I don't remember if I told them. I think I told them this at one point in our friendship. So anyway, I thought that was a really, I don't know, I thought that was very unfair to say about them. Morning. So I knew as soon as they said that I would make my own decision. See, this is what you need to do now. You need to take all this information and plug it into now and use it for your highest good and for your benefit. So the first thing that I got when he said that was, "That is not mine. That comment is not mine. I don't receive it. I'm not going to listen to that. I'm going to make my own decision." So he triggered me, that negative comment triggered me to invite them over and have dinner. And I remember I made stuffed peppers, and they were at my house for 3 hours, and we laughed for 3 hours. 3 hours, non-stop laughing with two people I don't even know. So that was really cool. Morning. So I knew that I liked these guys from that dinner, and anybody that can keep me laughing for an extended period of time, they're in. Laughing is very, very important. You need to have humor no matter what's going on. And I'll tell you a side story after this about laughter and dying. So anyway, we hit it off so well that they invited me to Colorado for the summer of 2013. You know, I'm always looking for somewhere to take the motorhome. And for those that hear this, if you have any good ideas where I can park that motorhome in the summer, I'm always looking for a good place. And then I can do groups there and, do whatever, just different atmosphere. So they invite me, they have plenty of land, they invite me and the New York guy. We run the electric. They have a spigot, and I'm parked there. And the weather in Colorado, oh my God, I didn't know anything about Colorado. That's my small world. I didn't know. It's a beautiful state, very beautiful in the summer. So I arrive, and I look at their house on the inside, and I'm like, I remember this. It's funny, but it was also, I was pretty blunt. I walked in the house, I said, "Oh, you guys don't live here." And they're like, "No, we live here. We've been here a year and a half." I'm like, "You live like this?" So, and there's photos of that, and I can put that all up. I can put a few videos and photos about that story, because that's a really big story. And the thing why that story is so important is we have one person giving negative information, which you're very used to now. Anybody who watches this knows we're getting a lot of shit information and negativity in the world. Then you follow your own instincts, which I did, and then that opened up doors for a new friendship, creativity. Remember, I started this video talking about the creativity levels, and Neptune into Pisces, which is all inspiration. And I'm not going to tell all the story about those guys, because I think we should do a separate video with just them and the messages that I got from the parents and what happened there. But that started the Medium by Design. Now, that wasn't in my plan. There was no agenda. I met them, I went there, and it was inspiration from the other side that had me help them fix their house. And then from there, it snowballed. And because they're snowbirds. And so then they had me do their second place. And then that went on to something else, and then something else. And it was all divine inspired, all of it. And even the Medium by Design, the name came through another person, and she got inspired with that name. So what I'm trying to say is, if you think you know it all, and you think you have all the answers, you're missing out on a wealth of things that come from seemingly nowhere. And that's what inspiration is. It just comes. And all these people, we all got involved the last, 2013? We're into 7 years now. So the Medium by Design has been being developed for about 7 years. And then the channel came up during COVID, the YouTube channel. So, when you're getting negative information, you need to read the energy and decide if that's right for you. And no one can do this for you. You can't expect other people or institutions to have all the answers for you. It's not going to happen. Because not everybody has your highest interest in mind. And you can't be offended by that. It's just the way it is. But you can change your foundational ways of dealing with humanity and always walk in win-win energy. You can choose the energy that you walk in, and you can be that in the world, and you can change the world with your energy. Ooh. Just got a wave. Jesus, in one of the videos, one of the Jesus videos, he talks about giving your power away and taking your power back. Ooh. Man, if humanity doesn't get on the stick and take their power back, oh God, how long does evolution take? That is the big question. So, just remember that everything is energy, words are energy, and people carry energy. And start deciding, is this energy for my highest good? Is this what I really need? Is this what I really want? Because most of us are still putting up with lower frequency energy. And that's the way it is. We keep doing it. And a lot of, we can get into all the layers of that. Low self-esteem, I don't know my self-worth, all these things. Now, I'm not talking about if you're helping people that are stuck in a lower frequency or some, suffering experience. I'm not talking about that. People misconstrue things and they hear what they want to hear. Even on these videos, people hear what they want to hear. And they don't hear the truth that's coming through. And that's another silly thing that I have to deal with. They twist the messages, they twist them into something that's not even there because of their stupid programs. And it's fine, what are you gonna do? We don't worry about them. They'll figure it out. And the funny thing is, if you don't figure it out when you're living, you'll know it when you're dead. Because that's when your eyes really open. I got plenty of messages about that. So, this is the year, this is the time to get on the stick with energy and pick and choose. Remember, the last video was about walking the middle of the street where the crest is. That's my favorite analogy for this year. And you pick and choose. That's taking your power back. You pick and choose. What do you want? What don't you want? And it's, it's not a joke. If you're letting energy in, here's a great story. I hate when I get multiple stories at the same time. It makes the video a little bit long. Okay, so I'm helping a friend get her house in order. First time she did a big project without her husband. Her husband died 4 years ago. And he's been part of the renovation, and I've written numerous messages from him. And those videos will be out. I'll have those on. Because her and I are the dynamic duo, and we had a lot going on. So here's what happened recently at her house. I went over there. I had another decision to help her with, And we're trying to wind this project down because it got stretched out. There were many delays and weirdness with people and contractors and supply chain. Stuff that you're hearing in the news is true. There's some weirdness even in construction. And we got to see it on a very small job, small scale, but we saw it and it caused a lot of delays. Which as an Aries, delays. And she has the same thing. She can't stand delays and waiting either. So the two of us had to really practice patience. So we're over there and I just wanted 2 hours to go over a couple things. Well, the interruptions were unbelievable. Her phone never stopped ringing. And somebody she knows for 20 years comes. It's a stupid story, but it has so much energy that I thought it was worth telling. So she got inspired to get new appliances, and she did really well. She got really cute. I love that the color that she got, that dark slate metal. And I said, you can get at least $1,000 for the old ones, because the old ones, they're not all old. She got them at different times. So she puts it on Craigslist, and then this man that she knows for many years, he offers her $300 and tells her he's going to give them to a needy family. Wait. So anyway, I'm there and this guy shows up, but she also has a guy coming to buy those appliances. So I said to her, well, don't give it to him. She says, no, I'm not. I'm gonna wait for the guy to come. Well, the guy comes, the buyer, the legit buyer, and he gives her $1,000 immediately. Now, the other man, who she's friends with for a long time, he's hovering around. He does not need to be there. His energy is not needed, but he stays and he watches the transaction and he's talking to me on the side, and he didn't mean to do this to Heather, and all this mumbo jumbo gibberish bullshit talking. And I gotta cross the street. So he's going on and on and on, and I'm like, why is he still here? His energy sucks. And he's still there, and he couldn't change the transaction. He wasn't going to get them for $300. No matter what his deal was or what his plan was, he wasn't going to get it. And I simply said to him, hey, she spent a lot of money on the renovation. If she can recoup a few bucks, she deserves it, right? That was my thing. And the guy that bought it, he was great. No nonsense. He just gave her the money. It was phenomenal. Here's the energy thing. His energy sucked so bad. I'm in her kitchen. I got a stabbing pain on the right side of my head. And if I didn't know better, I'd go, oh, what am I having, an aneurysm? It was brutal. And it was his energy. That's the importance of energy. And I said to Heather after this, I said, I got to tell you something. You are putting up with some shit energy, and I wouldn't be surprised if it's affecting the pain in your body, because she's got pain in her body too. And this is the importance of energy. And I'm not saying she helped the man out. There was a period that she helped him, raise him up, and she did really good. She's a good Samaritan. She helped him. It's beautiful. He's grateful. But they're done. And that's the thing you have to learn, especially now. This is another layer of COVID clarity. What are you done with?